We have some breaking news that we're watching on this Monday that is being suppressed by the Biden media right now, not surprisingly at all, because this is frankly devastating for President Biden. On top of more U.S. bank failures over the weekend, Friday into Saturday. On top of a brand new poll that just came out showing this weekend that the lowest approval rating for any president in 70 years. This is separate from all of that. So this drama kicked into high gear over the weekend, and we're watching it very closely between Russia and the United States. This is a direct economic war right now between the U.S. and Russia, not through some proxy. This is between these two countries. And economists that I've spoken to over the weekend have said that Biden thought Putin would likely back down on this, that he was bluffing. Well, he didn't. Putin has just done something that no one on earth has dared to do. They seized $500 million from the largest U.S. bank on earth, J.P. Morgan. And on this Monday, we're about to see things spiraling out of control. How much more assets will be taken from U.S. banks in this back and forth right now? This is basically Putin saying, we're done. We're not going to be bullied by the U.S. anymore. This is BS. This is basically de-dollarization on steroids right now. And it also comes in response to what Biden did last week. That, of course, got no coverage in the mainstream press. Congress approved the I call it the Repo Ukrainian Act, the Repo Act. Most attention, of course, was on the $61 billion in weapons and aid to Ukraine, but the Repo Act is arguably more important and is really a declaration of war directly against Russia, because the Repo Act now gives the Biden administration the right to seize hundreds of billions of dollars in sovereign Russian assets that are held by American banks, and then send them directly to Ukraine, which is the most corrupt country in Europe. This is unprecedented. And it's a clear declaration of war. And by the way, this is not me saying that they're the most corrupt government in Europe. They are. The United States State Department just released their new annual report on corruption and human rights abuses this week. No one's talking about it. We're going to talk about it later on our shows this week. But right now, the U.S. State Department is pointing out the human rights violations and the corruption that sits at the heart of Ukraine. And we're going to send them billions of dollars that we've just stolen from Russia. This is not going to go well. So they now put the ball in Putin's court, and he ran with it. So this weekend, he's saying enough is enough. And also we learned that Putin has just signed a brand new law allowing the use of digital financial assets in international trade.
The major change it makes is it really allows government institutions in Russia and Russian companies to freely use other and alternative payment methods in order to conduct their transfers. As we know, Russia was cut off 2 years ago from the global financial system. Most Russian banks have the inability to use payment systems such as SWIFT. So it's quite significant, really, because it basically breaks down all of the barriers that the Russian economy had to trade in terms of payments.
This is a huge middle finger to the Western dominance of the global payment superstructure that has been controlled by the United States since World War II. This is an upending of the Bretton Woods Agreement. Putin basically now saying you can use these digital financial assets outside of the U.S.-run SWIFT system. Look, I know this might go over a lot of people's heads right now. You see these videos of guys interviewing people in Times Square, can you name the vice president of the United States? And they don't even know what the heck's going on.
How many states make up the United States?
How many states make? Dude, I know this.
So I know this is going to go over a lot of people's heads, but not you guys who watch this show. You guys are smart. But this is a huge deal, okay? This means that we are going around the U.S. banking system. We are going around the U.S.-controlled monetary system that's been in place since the Bretton Woods agreements, and we're saying we're done. One economist I spoke to last night said the reality of this hasn't set in for most people. Russia has basically declared war on the United States financial system, and it's basically giving cover to any other country right now that wants to leave the US dollar-dominated system. There's nothing good that comes of what is happening. The United States is quickly losing US dollar dominance, the very structure that was put in place at the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II, which of course said, hey, you use the US reserve currency, US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and we will provide security and safety of shipping lanes and everything else around the world. That's collapsing. So we're watching this very, very closely, by the way. And this also comes on the heels of what we saw with President Putin and the Chinese meeting last week to solidify their relationship, which is done with the US dollar. This is massive. This is massive. We're watching it very, very closely. What happens with these other banks right now? J.P. Morgan was the first one on Friday, of course, that we had now assets seized by Russia. Other big bank collapse on Friday as well in the United States. And we just got data over the weekend, huge decline in U.S. deposits into American banks. So something big is happening to the U.S. banking system. We've been warning about it. We knew that it would come here sometime in the spring. We thought maybe March. It seems like it was a little bit delayed. Now we're hitting this moment. So be prepared, guys. We're going to see some real stuff hitting the fan really, really soon. Now, next, before we get out of here, I do want to tie this breaking news to yesterday's major alert that I brought you about our sponsor over at SolarBank, because here's their ticker on your screen right now, which was just listed on the NASDAQ. It is a business I just love and I adore and I consider superior, but I just want to give you an update. If you're actively doing your homework on its financials right now, the strength of the board of directors, the leadership, the fundamentals of the industry, and the track record of delivered projects and their latest news updates and public disclosure filings, let me know in the comments below. I hope you're paying attention to this because they just listed on the NASDAQ, and I'm really stoked to be the first major news channel to cover them and talk about these guys. SolarBank is so far ahead that I can't see how Wall Street doesn't fall in love with this business once it understands what it's actually looking at. And the share price is really affordable right now. Take a look at this. You know, here's how it works. Mining companies literally get up in the morning and then they drain the minerals from their ore body in order to sell it, right? They're literally liquidating the company every single day. They go in, they mine things, and then they sell it. SolarBank is the opposite. It gets up in the morning, captures energy from the sun that are inexhaustible, and then sells the electricity they generate to the grid and make money off of it. Secondly, they can negotiate the price, not the open market. Their source of energy is not a commodity, by the way. Third, and most importantly, just like Elon Musk told Wall Street on his latest earnings call, the BESS business segment is hugely profitable and it's just going to get growing right now. BESS stands for Battery Energy Storage System. Oil companies have to ramp up and dial back production according to seasonality. Natural gas companies actually flare. They burn natural gas excess and lose that commodity forever. It's gone. Most metals can't be recycled and are lost for good. Not so, though, with solar energy. So SolarBank is a pioneer right now in storing this energy it produces on its assets, and the company will then sell that electricity to the grid at peak hours for top dollar. This is a huge advantage that makes everything that came before it totally obsolete, and no one's paying attention to this right now. So here's a flow chart to show you why I believe that SolarBank must be researched for every investor that understands this big picture. Trump or Biden, it doesn't matter. The fundamentals of generating solar energy for electrification will not regress one iota because it provides jobs, secures energy independence, is economically advantageous, it privatizes the energy sector, so it checks all the critical bipartisan boxes right now. And SolarBank is positioned so well for this. So today is April 29th, 2024. Save this date and remember that this is when you learned about SolarBank with only one analyst covering it right now. As of right now, CNBC, Bloomberg, they aren't even covering this story. So thanks to SolarBank for supporting this news alert today, and we will see you next time, everyone.